All right, so believe it or not, we are at December 20th, 2021, the year quickly coming to an end. And so I want to close out the year with a webinar on goal setting. And, we discussed off call that setting goals is something that should be or seems to be pretty intuitive, but there's many people who go through life having never been taught how to effectively set a goal. And if you don't know how to set a goal, how are you ever going to meet a goal? So let's invest some time today on setting what are called SMART goals. And we can create success by planning for it. If you don't plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You've probably heard that one before. And it's true. If you just show up, thinking everything's going to fall into place, it's probably not going to happen, because a fact of nature is entropy, and entropy is a nerdy term for things fall apart. So unless you're actively and intentionally planning for success and then taking the steps necessary for it to manifest itself, then the likelihood is things are going to fall apart, or you're going to at least fall short of what your goal would have been. So let's learn what SMART goals are and implement those for 2022. And I want to start by saying, you can see the graphic here where the guy's holding the large magnet and he's attracting money to himself. But realize that financial goals are just one type of goal. We can have a goal in every area of our life, and we should have goals in every area of our lives. If we get too focused on money, we miss out on family, or we miss out on health, or we miss out on creativity potentially, or other things, right? Money really is just a medium of exchange. It shouldn't be the end all be all, because a lot of people, make or create or achieve a lot of money, but they achieved it in a way that was out of balance from, say, family and health, etc. So they end up with a lot of money, but they're still unhappy because they have no one left around them that loves them. Or they push so hard to achieve the money that they sacrifice their health and end up having to spend all that money on trying to regain the health that they lost getting it. And, that's darn near impossible for most people by the time that they get there and realize that. So let's set SMART goals in two ways. SMART in the sense that it matches this acronym that you're going to learn, but then also SMART meaning we want to be smart and balanced and set goals for our whole life, not just our finances for the coming year. So how do we do that? Well, SMART is an acronym for how to set goals. And so the S is for specific, the M is for measurable, the A is for attainable, the R is for relevant, the T is for time bound. And we're going to go through all of these today. Let's start with S for specific. Now, when you're setting a goal, for that goal to be effective, it needs to be specific, right? If I just say, hey, I want to be wealthy, that's not specific. Or even better to say, hey, I want to be rich. Well, that's not specific, because everyone defines rich differently. I would argue that there isn't even one definition for rich. One person might think rich or define rich as a certain dollar number. One person might define rich as being able to do whatever I want in life, right? And one person might define rich as the number of grandchildren they have. So we need to be more specific than just saying rich. You want to say, you want to define what needs to be accomplished by your goal. Okay, I want to earn X number of dollars. Who's responsible for it? I want to. Or if you're working with a group, we, and then who in the group are doing what parts. What specific steps need to be taken to achieve that goal? And answering these questions helps you get to the heart of what you're aiming for. And ultimately, it's kind of like if you've ever been in a networking group, like Business Networking International or a Chamber of Commerce group or something like that. And you go to the group and everyone gets their 1 minute to give their elevator speech, right? You want to have an elevator speech for your goals. You should be able to tell, if someone says, what are your goals for 2022? You should be able to tell them each goal in 10 seconds or less. So have it that well defined that in 10 seconds you could explain your goal, to whoever's asking you and then move on. And they should be able to understand it and hold you accountable to it if they write it down or remember what you told them. So first we want to be specific, specificity. Next, it should be measurable. And measurable means quantifying your goals, putting numbers to it. Because if you can't measure it, how do you know where you are on the path to achieving it, right? Measuring it, quantifying it allows you to track your progress and know how far you are from the finish line. And so in order to do that, you want to have trackable benchmarks. And those could be time points like, hey, I am 3 months into my goal that I gave myself a year to accomplish, or the benchmark could be some percentage income. I've met 25% of the income I want to achieve in the time period given for my goal, or I've had this many clients, or whatever it is. You want to have measurable, quantifiable points along the path, so you can say, you could stop a month in and say, wow, look what I've accomplished. You can look back and say, there's where I was, here's where I am, here's how far I have to go. So measurable. If you can't measure it, you can't track it. And if you can't track it, you might fall off task, because tracking it allows us to feel good about what we've accomplished and know how much farther we have to go, and kind of project, are we going to make it in the time that we gave ourselves? So M is for measurable. A is attainable. Your goal should be attainable, right? I remember coming out of school, I was very idealistic, and it was like, I'm going to be, I actually found some goals that I wrote in, it was a couple of years after school now, but it was probably 2012, and I wanted to, it was some ridiculous money number, that I haven't hit. And I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, wow, that was pie in the sky, idealistic, and not attainable realistically. We want it to be realistic. And so this is where you have to give yourself a reality check and say, okay, I might want to accomplish X, Y, and Z. But are you giving yourself a realistic time horizon to get there? And is it even realistic given any time horizon? So be realistic, not impossible, but it should stretch you, right? Because if it's too easy, then it's not challenging enough for you to even care about, and you'll delay it because you can do it whenever you're actually want to put the time in. But if it's going to stretch you, if it pushes you outside your comfort zone, that's something that A, is interesting to you, B, you'll grow through, and C, you'll be a better person at the end of it. So make it realistic, not impossible. It's got to be between, for me, realistic might be the wrong word there, because I kind of look at realistic like easier. So between realistic and impossible. It should push you, it should challenge you, it should be a stretch, but something you can do if you really work at it and set SMART goals to accomplish it. So attainable. R is relevant. So where does this goal fit into your big picture? We were talking about goal setting and how you want to set goals in other areas besides just financial. A financial goal fits into the big picture of your life. Family goals fit into the big picture of your life. Personal goals, career goals, health goals, right? So how is the goal, if you're setting a financial goal right now, is it relevant to your family goal, right? And to your health goal and the others? Do you have enough money to fund your health? Do you have enough money to fund your family vacation, your goal family vacation? For example, my wife and I want to do an RV trip, take a month or so off and do an RV trip out west with the kids to Yellowstone and drive all over the national parks over the summer. So first you have to be, that's specific, that's what we want to do. Then how much is that going to cost? How much do we have to have set aside for that? Are we going to be healthy enough to be able to do that? Is the practice set up so that I can get away, and can I practice, through Zoom, on the road, that sort of thing. So how is your goal relevant to the big picture? Does it fit? And then if it does, why are you setting it? Okay. And this is important because I think I've done this before. I've set goals because of, you know, what other people around me are doing, right? So I didn't really care about the goal. I didn't ever really achieve it. I had just set it kind of because of, you could call it peer pressure or social influence or obligation, or, you know, are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? So if you set a goal to get a shiny new car because your neighbor got a shiny new car, well, that's probably not a goal you're going to achieve, because you're setting it kind of out of competition, not necessarily because you have a burning desire to have that new car. So set a goal that's relevant to you, to your life, to your emotions, to your desires. Setting a goal because you think other people think you should set that goal is probably not going to end up with you achieving that goal. And achieving your goals is key because, you know, if you achieve, every time you set a goal and achieve a goal, you're improving your self-esteem, right? You're improving your self-confidence and your integrity because you set out to do something and you did it. So you believe in yourself more, right? So you don't want to haphazardly set goals, because if you set goals and then don't achieve them or never even start to pursue them, then that's kind of a knock in the other direction on your self-esteem or on your integrity. So, you know, only set goals that you want because your subconscious is keeping track. And then finally, time bound is the T for SMART goals. What is the timeline for your achievement? Okay. Depending on the S.M.A.R.T, the T is going to change, right? If you've got a financial goal that's a huge number, you're going to probably need more time than if it's a less huge number, right? Or a more realistic number. You want to set a start time. You want to set a deadline for achievement. So for example, I've started a new certification to have a certification as an internist. And, you know, I've started it already. My goal is to achieve it by the end of 2022. It's typically a 2-year program. I'm trying to do it in 1 year. So that means I have to get up every morning at 6 a.m., 6 days a week, and do at least an hour of the training to achieve that. So we'll see. That's the goal. So I have to be consistent for myself. I have to change, you know, sleep patterns, waking patterns, all of that. But if I want to achieve it with the way my life is set up and my family and kids and wanting to be at their games and be at the dinner table and things like that, the only time of day that I have to achieve it is early morning. So I have to sacrifice a little sleep for it. So what is your goal? When will you start? When will you finish it? Set those deadlines, because that allows you to, again, go to M and measure where you are on the path. Are you on target to make it by your deadline, or do you need to speed it up or push your deadline out a little bit? So SMART goals increase the likelihood that you're going to achieve your goals, and it focuses your thinking for you to even determine, you know, is what you thought was a goal for yourself even worthwhile, right? It's easy to spit out what you think is a goal without any of the SMART details behind it, but a goal without a plan is just an idea or a dream. So it's not until you sit down and add the SMART rubric to it that that idea or dream becomes a goal. So what are your dreams and goals for 2022? And will you sit down and invest the time necessary and the thoughts necessary to set up the SMART structure for it, so that by 2023 we can sit down and say, hey, look, here was the list I created of the goals for this year, and look, I've checked them all off. I feel great about myself, and here's what I'm going to do next year. So let's open it up. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Dr. B.
Is that Scott? I don't recognize him. Oh, you weren't on the last time when he showed up and
No.
Dr. B was like, who's this guy? He's 10 years younger.
He is. He's lean. He's lean. He's not bearded.
He's very svelte. Yep. Danielle was like, oh, I like the beard.
Yeah. She's we miss Danielle.
Yeah, we do.
So what are some goals, or what did you learn? Did people know this? Questions, comments?
I had heard this before, but I like it because, like most things, because we're human, we forget. And I have 2 weeks off of work, and I'm very excited because this has been one of my goals while I'm off work is to write down my goals
Yeah.
for the upcoming, like, I'm ready to, like, okay, what do we do? How do I take this to the next level? Like tweaking my eating even more, or adding and just, to kind of get to that last part of my plan,
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. There are places too, like sometimes it's hard with EMFs and devices and everything around us to sit down and be quiet and actually do this. And so there's a couple places in North Carolina. One of them is called the Well of Mercy, which is like this. I'm going with my mom in February. We're trying to go between Christmas and New Year's because that would have been the perfect time, but they're not open that week. But essentially it's like this, I don't know what to call it other than kind of garden, or just this quiet place where you can go and you give them like $100 and they give you a cabin for the night, and you just sit there and be quiet. You could go there and pray or meditate or be quiet or whatever. And I was thinking of just going with no devices, just a notebook and a pen and brain, and like, okay, here's my plans, here's my goals, here's my plans, here's what I want to accomplish in the next year. Because when you've got devices or kids or other things going on, it's not as efficient as it could be. So we're going first week of February, so that maybe that'll be my chance to check in 1 month in on my stuff. But find a quiet place. You have 2 weeks, right? And you're gonna have plenty of time with family over this next week. So that every year for me, between Christmas and New Year's, 27, 28 is a good time. 27th and 28th to kind of carve out space for yourself and just be quiet and lay out your goals and thoughts for the next year.
I think that's important, like scheduling quiet time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
And when you're planning goals, not to get overwhelmed, because there's different areas in our life, spiritual and relationship and health and all this stuff. Do you, depending on, I guess, what they are, do you, like in your case, Dr. B, when I asked you about working out, you said that you would use Tuesday mornings and you'd get up early, and now you're getting up early to do your internship thing. So do you not so much drop your health, but how many plates do you keep spinning at one time, or is it just a matter of what the goal is, how big, how small, that kind of thing?
So I'm not dropping the workout, I'm just getting up earlier. So I'm gonna get up on Tuesdays, I'll get up at 4 and do it till 5. And then
Okay,
I'll
because
go.
you had said 6, and I thought,
Yeah.
oh, you get up at 6 to work out. How's that going to work?
No, I'm at the gym by 6. So I get up at 5:30, drive to the gym. So
I see.
I'll get up at 4,
I see.
work till
I
5.
misunderstood.
Yeah, no worries. No, because I could just as easily drop the workout so I can sleep in longer, but I don't want to drop the workout, So it kind of depends on, and I mean, I could drop the workout for where my fitness level is, but I don't want my fitness level to drop because I like where I'm at, and I like to see my friends there and that sort of thing. So for me, it's
Like looking like Superman.
it is exercise, but I also like to see, it's social too for me at that time. So I'll just get up earlier. And I was thinking, I get one day So I could make Tuesday that one day that I don't do it, but I'm thinking I'll make Sunday that day just because, Sunday is just easy and best chance to sleep in and that the kids will sleep in and all of that. So, but to answer your question, yeah, you can, if you're overwhelmed, you're not going to achieve your goal, right? So kind of like your each of you's different individual health plans. If perfection is so stressful, if perfection is more stressful than not doing one or two parts, you're going to be more successful doing the not one or two part than you are trying to be perfect, right? So for you, Karen, you might just force rank it. Okay, what's the area in my life I want and really want, because not even need, because you won't be as good at the need one as the want one, right? So which one do I want to excel or pursue first, and just set that one and start that one. And once it's 21 days to make a habit sort of thing. So once you've started that one for a month, say, then you can reevaluate and say, okay, I feel like I'm in a groove here and I feel like I'm ready to add the next area, right? So there's nothing saying you have to do your whole life today, because that can be overwhelming, but get started on one. If you don't start today, then you're going to get to this call next year and be like, I meant to do that last year, but I didn't because I was overwhelmed, right? So pick your first top area and start there. And then you could say, in a month, I'll reevaluate and add another one. Or if I'm not ready, in 2 months, and you could say, there's not that many areas in life, maybe 6, right? If we really break it down. So you could add a new goal every 2 months, or a new area every 2 months.
That's good.
What else?
I like the idea of, okay, go ahead.
No, you're fine. It's about me, but you can go ahead. I'll ask him.
Well, let's stick to the goal thing right now.
Oh,
think-
okay, yeah, she can go. She can go.
I think writing it down is a component that I think would be extremely helpful because I had watched your video over the weekend about taming tigers, and the thing that stuck out to me is when you said, write down your stressors or list your stressors and what you can do. You can clearly see. It was eye-opening. It's like if you write down the stuff that's really getting to you,
Oh yeah.
the stuff's that getting to you, but somehow when you write it down, it becomes more real. I don't know.
It's physical then.
It's
right?
very eye-opening.
Those thoughts became things, right? And so there's an accountability to it that's not there when it's just in your head.
Thoughts became things.
So definitely writing it down. And this is where, things like Evernote and all these devices and apps can hurt us because we just want to be technologically savvy and all that. But the neurologically, kinesthetically, putting pencil on paper is part of it. And so you're going to just remember it better. Your subconscious is going to work harder because you took it from here and put it there. And so there's an accountability of pen to paper that isn't there to even speak it, right? Because once it leaves your mouth, it's over. But if it's on paper, it's still somewhere, even if no one ever sees it, right? You're still accountable to it. So yeah, absolutely write it down. And it's cool years later when you go back and see them, because 2 weeks ago, I pulled out a pad from 2015. 2015, I did this whole neurology certification throughout the whole year. I went to Mississippi like 8 times. I went to Virginia twice. I went to Ohio twice, I think. And so early on in that, we had written down goals, and I went through and read them, and I was like, certain financial goals, hit it, write a book, hit it, all these things. I'm like, oh, cool. 6 years later, I can go through and check all those off. And I had written them down, but I wasn't necessarily like returning to that, remembering that I put them down, as well as I probably should have if you really want to achieve it. But to write it down is powerful. And when you return it to it in the future and you see, wow, I've actually done all those things, that's cool. But it's also cool to say, wow, I used to, like, I set a goal to make this much a month, and now I make much more than that a month, say. And it's like, there's some gratitude there too. Like, cool. When I wrote that, I might not have even believed I could get there. Right. So I don't know where each person's at a different place, but to have the gratitude for where you're at always, but then to be able to look back and see how far you've come is cool.
Dr. B, you just said about making it physical.
Yeah.
And yesterday, Mark Sisson always puts these things out on Sundays with Sisson, and he actually touched on this very thing. And he says, the analog always wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, or it at least persists.
Yeah.
And he said, it might not feel like it as I type on my hyper fast 2.8 pound laptop, but he's like talking about, you know, where you are you using technology and all that? And he said, the analog is where we are. So it should be no surprise that the analog world always wins. Actual physical books are better and more effective for kids than tablet-born books. Playing with friends in person beats Zoom play dates. Taking notes in class by hand helps you retain info better than typing them. That's just part of it. It was just a really good article about we have to feel, we have to, it's like all of our senses have to be engaged. And that's how it stays with us. And that's how we move forward. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And how many people have ever lost all their photos on their iPhone or lost, you know, XYZ on some device, right? So the idea is like, oh, I have a 1 terabyte hard drive. I'll never lose these, but you can lose the hard drive. Meanwhile, we've got 10,000 pages that Leonardo da Vinci wrote still, you know, you know, so on paper, you know, so analog wins. And you can, you know, you can delete the cloud. One person could delete the cloud for all of us, right? But if we've all got a physical journal on our desk, that person has to come to every house, right, and delete that, or find every Bible and burn it, or whatever it is. So yeah, analog for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Will you send me that article?
I will.
Please?
Yep.
The kids thing is powerful, and you know,
it's very powerful. And he also
obvious.
talks about, he also talks about a used bookstore feeling warm and inviting. And, you know, he said, what would a digital bookstore, clean, clinical, minimalist, hallway lined with LED screens, feel like? He's like, ever go to one of those Amazon brick and mortars? He goes, bit of an odd feel in there.
Yeah.
Who is this, Jennifer?
Mark Sisson. He's pretty big in the whole paleo movement, and that's how we actually got started in paleo, like several years ago.
He wrote the Primal Blueprint. He's been around for a while.
Yeah, but I'll send you this. So
yeah, thank you. You can drop it in the chat too if you want.
I will
so
actually.
everybody has it.
He's a former triathlete, world-class triathlete.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in his 50s, right?
60.
Maybe 60s?
60.
I think he's 68.
Yeah, 68.
Yeah, he doesn't look 68.
Nope.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. 68.
Any other comments on the goal stuff?
Well, just that I started with my plan around January 1st of last year, and you know, a few missteps along the way, but pretty much I was able to stay true to it. You gave me, I mean, you didn't set my goals for me per se, but you gave me a plan, and it was realistic, and I was able to follow it. And it just feels pretty good to be able to do something like that, be able to see it through. How many times we make resolutions that don't last, and it was realistic, and I'm able to do it.
Yeah. Props to you. And now look how anti-aged you are.
Yeah.
Hey, see, I didn't know how you looked before.
Yeah.
I have to ask, and then, Jennifer, did you do a video for Dr. B on like menstrual cramps?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw that. I happened to be looking for some. I saw that and I thought, No, you look 10 years younger now.
Oh, well,
I'm like,
thank
is that her?
Crazy.
No, I don't think, yeah, it might be her. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
That was the first one I did,
Wow.
and then the second one was my testimonial for the MS.
Oh,
So
you look awesome. I was like, I'm not even sure it's you.
Yeah, Sally, I actually saw that one day and I had the first one and a later one side by side and I screenshot them and sent them to Jennifer because she like lost a person. Like her,
Yeah.
you could,
You look even younger.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh my
You
gosh.
know, I'm down almost 80 pounds, and
Oh my goodness.
but that's like, that was a bonus. That was a big bonus. So
Wow.
Yeah.
And that didn't show in your face, but just your demeanor just changed. It's amazing.
well, thank you very much, Sally. I appreciate
That's
that.
awesome.
It's been about 1.5 years for me. So yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
not on any MS medication, and yeah, just
That's
very
wonderful.
thankful, very, very grateful. You talk about setting goals and looking back at stuff. It's just it's pretty huge. So yeah.
yeah. And I think that speaks to the power of, you know, we all want to be at our goal tomorrow, but it's really, again, that consistency is the only magic bullet thing. So stacking days together, you know, it's cool that we had the videos because we can put time spaced apart and see the change. But when you live with Scott and Scott lives with you, or, you know, people tell me my kids look taller and I'm like, I see them every day, so they don't. But if you have, you know, they're growing every single day. Jennifer was changing every day and losing weight and getting healthier and that sort of thing. And the health was a side effect of getting healthy. That wasn't even a goal, you know, a direct goal of our plan, but you're
Right.
consistent over time. And then you've got, you know, in this case, those video benchmarks to show the 80-pound difference, you know. So it's really cool to be consistent and to have these benchmarks, whether it's a video or a goal list from December 20th, 2021 that you refer back to on December 20th, 2022 and say, holy cow, look at that. You know, I had a great year.
And it's so huge because you just have this, proof,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term, to show people that say, I don't think I can do that. You know, I don't think I can. I'm like, no, you can. Like, I was so unhealthy and I'm fighting a disease I can't cure, and we can't cure it. So you can do it.